Is an introduction really necessary for someone we all know so well?
How do you even start a vlog? Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel and welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know me, I am a first year student at the University of Cape Town studying actuarial science. On the agenda for this week, it is test week, so it's a little bit hectic. I got my financial accounting test tomorrow and I got my intro to Act-Sci test on Friday, among some other assignments, Comp-Sci, EDM, whatever. So I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to give you a glimpse into what that looks like for me as a first year. Today is Sunday, meaning it's just a chill day. I'm doing my laundry, then I have a football game, and then I'm going to head to the library and get some studying done for tomorrow. For those of you who came from my TikTok and are looking for my academic tips as to how I improved my marks from 70s to above 80 in matric, I will be putting some study tips in this video as well, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, this is a week in the life of a first year Act-Sci student studying at the University of Cape Town.
Yo, I feel like CJ in Grove Street, sits behind trying to follow man. In the back, smoky, I'm 5-star like the OG.
Okay Chad, it is now 10 to 10, but we are writing accounting tomorrow, so time for another coffee and some more studying.
Come back to mine for a little vibe when I get lonely. I can't have no badders trying to
Chad,
hold me.
12:30, just finished the study session. We are feeling ready for accounting. I'll let you know how it goes tomorrow.
You know me, I can't even tell the time when it's rolly. Back when my money was low and I sold weed, I had to go out and get it with broski. Back when I was ducking low from the police,
Chat, 1 hour till the accounting paper. We are feeling ready, we are feeling confident. We'll see.
Back then, Cali, what I smoked from back then.
Chad, we just wrote accounting. I'll talk when the marks are out.
Smoke from back then you didn't have a Mac 10 back then.
Okay, then how was accounting? Immediately.
No, accounting was good. I know I either got banged or banged, it's no in between.
It's 7 in the morning. This weather is stay at home and cuddle with bae weather, not 8 AM tart weather, bro. Damn. Back at the library today to do some Act-Sci studying for Friday. Probably gonna be here for a few hours, maybe till 11 or so. Yeah.
Keep niggas posted. I'ma walk your token. I'ma do damage, keep on coping. That nigga talking too much, get your rex up. Been in the gym, Johnny Bravo, go flex up. Niggas on they toes.
Got home from my Comp-Sci practical. Gents, hey, Comp-Sci, hey. Okay, so I mean the days are really routinic. Gonna get dinner, gonna catch the 6 PM jammy, gonna go and study. Surprise, surprise, another day, same grind.
I feel like a trier. Walking with God, I get covered in his glory. In God's blood, I went God.
So I'm back on campus, right, to do a study session. Chad, I didn't even have time to change. This is how you know it's deep. Library like this, come on, bro.
I was like, oh my God, is that baby let's get surgeon? I'm in this bitch with beer Herco. You too broke, you can't fit in my circle. Running, that's why they moving like turtles. I was born to go get it, I need to go middle. I've been running hurdles. They was hating before, we act like we ain't heard them. Now they ain't their feelings, they act like we heard them. I know I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I got the baddest of them all. These niggas cannot compete with me at all. D&D, but pick up when money come. I ain't finna crit, need a show in the pub.
Do you guys remember when school ended at 2 PM? 2:15, some light like that. PM, 2:15 PM, gents. Now it ends in the AMs. Just take me back. So many people have asked me for my study tips, and so this part of the video is for that. Before I start, I must just say, if you're expecting me to say, use this technique and use that technique, and you're gonna get a distinction, you're in the wrong place. The tips that I give you is more changes that I made in my life that really helped me improve. For context, I started grade 11 with maybe 2 distinctions, and I ended grade 11 with an average of 73. At the end of matric, I had 6 distinctions and an average of 85 or 86. So that is a 12-13% increase. And yeah, these are the changes I made. So I believe that studying can be broken down into 3 parts. It's before you study, it's when you actually study, and it's after you study. First, before studying. I believe that this is the most important part for me, right? And what I did before I started making my changes is you have to ask yourself 3 questions. And I know that sounds really stupid, maybe it sounds corny, but you have to ask yourself these 3 questions. Firstly, what do I want to achieve? Why do I want to achieve it? And how do I plan on achieving it? And now break down these 3 questions tailored to you. What do I want to achieve? Write down your goals, make them realistic, but never limit yourself. And I think that's really important. Obviously, if you're trying to go from a 40 to a distinction, it's not necessarily realistic to achieve that in 1 term. Do you know what I mean? So make your goals realistic, but don't limit yourself. And when I say don't limit yourself, I mean don't put a mental block on a subject before you've even tried. I used to do this with English home language. I used to say, as long as I get a 60, that's all I need for university. That is the wrong mindset to have towards any subject. I know that there will be subjects that you don't like. That's okay, everybody has subjects you don't like. But don't go into that subject with a negative mindset, because you're already going to be messed up from the beginning. It's as simple as changing your wording, changing the goal that you have. So for me in my English, instead of saying, as long as I get 60, I say, I want to achieve 70. That's how I started it. I said, I want to achieve 70. After achieving that, I moved up. I was like, but no, I want to achieve a distinction. That is my goal. See what I'm saying? It's a mindset shift. It's no longer 60 as long as I get into university. It's I want to achieve this. I want to be better. Are we together? Okay, the next thing for me was making my goals specific. This really allows you to kind of tailor your focus to a particular topic or particular section that you're struggling. I'm going to use my English example again. So after writing my June exams, I realized that I needed to improve my visual literacy marks. That was a section that was preventing me from achieving a distinction in English. And so my focus or my goal for my prelims was to improve my visual literacy by 5 marks. This goal allowed me to, it streamlined my focus to that particular section. And as a result, I did achieve those 5 extra marks that I wanted in visual literacy. So that's why I would say making your goals specific allows you to really focus on a particular topic that you are struggling in. But that's not to say disregard the rest of the paper or the rest of the topics. It's kind of just my goal was maintain the rest, improve this. Kind of allowing me to focus more on what I needed to improve on. Okay, the next big question is, why do I want to achieve this? Again, I understand maybe it sounds stupid to ask yourself a question, but it really helps you gain the motivation to achieve something. This kind of relates to your mindset, which for me is the most important thing. You need to have that growth mindset, and a mindset that it allows you to see your potential and work towards that potential. It's a mindset that doesn't limit you or hold yourself back. And to do this, you need to find something that motivates you. In other words, your why. Why do you want to achieve the goal you want to achieve? Again, break the question down and apply it to you specifically. I'll give you my example. My why came from me growing in my faith. So as I grew in my faith, I began to feel like, no, God has blessed me with a lot of talent. God has blessed me with a lot of ability. God has blessed me with so much, but I am not applying it to the best of my ability. I am not applying it the way that I can, the way that I should. And this realization really helped me to motivate me. It kind of gave me that drive. It's like, no, I need to prove to myself, I need to prove to my family, I need to prove to God that these abilities that I have, this talent that I have, I can apply it and I will apply it to the best of my ability. To me, it was almost I don't want to say it was a fear, but it was almost a fear. I felt as if I was doing a disservice to God. And this really kept me motivated. So now, I'm not saying that your why has to be something spiritual or something religious like that. Your why can be because you want to prove to yourself, or it could be, do you know what I mean? You can really personalize your why. But asking yourself, why do I want to achieve this? You find your reason, you find the purpose behind your process. And I think that's really important, because that motivation is the reason you're going to work hard. If you have that internal drive, that internal motivation, the hard work, which is, we'll get into it with actually studying, it doesn't feel as bad because you are driven, you want to achieve this. And if you're thinking about this and you're like, but why do I want to achieve it? Because I know school it's difficult. It's not like it's easy. It might be difficult to find something that motivates you. But then I think you need to do some self-reflection. It's like, why are you wasting your life? Why are you wasting your talent? Because everyone here has talent. Everyone here has the ability. Everyone here is smart. You just have to find why or how to apply that talent or ability, that smartness that you have. Everybody is smart. You just need to learn how to apply it. And by learning how to apply it, you can learn why you want to apply it. And there we are. Find something to motivate you. So the next question is, how do I plan on achieving this? This is the plan of action you're going to take to achieve your goals. With this question, time management and a schedule go hand in hand. I understand you may be lazy to make a schedule, but it does actually help to have a breakdown of what you need to do and when you're going to do it. However, a schedule is more than just, I'm going to study math today. Often with subjects, you'll have chapter 1, 2, 3, etc. And then within a chapter, there'll be subtopics. This collection of subtopics often makes the work really overwhelming because you see chapter 2 and you see, so my suggestion would be to break it into manageable sections. What I mean by that is, if chapter 2, say, has 9 subtopics, I would break it into 3, 3, 3. So I would have one study session for the 3 subsections, another study session for the 3. You get the point. This makes it look more manageable, and it's also more balanced, which will help a lot with your studies. Okay, my next suggestion for your plan, your schedule, is to make it realistic. If you think you're gonna study for 5 hours straight, you're not gonna do that. To be honest, you'll be lucky if you can focus for an hour, even maybe 45 minutes. So my suggestion would be to study for maximum an hour, maybe less, and then take reasonable breaks in between. This is where those methods, I think it's called the Pomodoro method and such like that, can come into play, where you study for a certain amount of time, take a few minutes break, study again. Me personally, especially when I was doing theory subjects, I would study for an hour and a half and then take a 30 to 45 minute break. Or I would study for 45 minutes, take a 15-minute break, 45 minutes, 15-minute break, and then have a longer break after a certain amount of those repetitions. The third point under how you plan your schedule is to get enough sleep. Sleep needs to be one of your top priorities when planning how you are going to achieve your goals. And yes, I know you hear this everywhere, get enough sleep, get enough sleep, get enough sleep, but it's so true, you need to get enough sleep. When your brain is tired, it cannot retain the information, it cannot digest it and keep it with you. So your brain needs to be well rested, and how you do that is by getting enough sleep. So I would say plan to study a reasonable enough time so that you can still get enough sleep. If you can get 6 to 7, 8 hours, that would be perfect. Taking breaks in between your studies is also really important because it allows your brain to rest, relax, reset. This will allow you to go back into your studies feeling a bit more refreshed, a bit more energized, and you'll be able to study more focused. The fourth and final point that I have on how to plan your schedule would be to factor in the potential sacrifices you'll have to make. Everybody has their own lives, their own schedules, and obviously with that comes certain sacrifices you have to make because of your other commitments. For example, in my day-to-day schedule during matric, I would only get home from training around 7 p.m. This means I would be at school from 7:30 until 3, train from 4 to 6, and get home around 7:30. And obviously when I got home at that time, my brain was too tired to try and do work. So what I would do is wake up at 4 a.m. This is an example of a sacrifice I had to make. I had to make the sacrifice of waking up at 6 a.m. and instead wake up at 4 a.m. to do some work. It doesn't mean that you have to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm not saying wake up at 4 a.m. Do I believe that it helps? Yes, I do, because your brain is fresh in the morning, and when your brain is fresh, as I've said, you retain the information better. But the sacrifices that you will need to make need to be in accordance to your schedule and the type of person you are. If you genuinely do study better at night, then tailor your schedule towards that. Me personally, I felt like my brain was fresh and ready in the morning. Okay, so that was before studying. Now let's get into when you are actually studying. Yes, here we can talk about all the different methods, your Pomodoro, I don't know the names because I didn't really use those specific methods. And I say I didn't use the specific methods because I was probably using them, I just don't know the names of them. And the thing is, there are so many different methods you can try. And go for it, find the one that works for you. When it comes to your studies, you need to tailor your technique to what suits you and your rhythm and your needs. So this could be writing summaries, writing flashcards, making diagrams. You need to find what works for you and use it to the best of your ability. If you want to try what I did, I used to write summaries of the work and then I would teach it. I would teach it aloud. Don't have to teach someone. Yes, sometimes I would go and annoy my mom or my sister and try and teach it to them. That process of teaching it out loud and hearing it really helped. So obviously I would summarize the work and then I would try and teach it from my memory. And then the missing spots, because there's always going to be blank spots, is when I would go back to my summaries and fill in the information. And I would kind of just repeat this process until I was comfortable with teaching the work. Because I believe if you can teach the work, that means you have a good understanding of the work. After your preferred method of studying, whatever it may be, you need to make past papers your best friend. I'm sure you've heard this from 100 people. If you've ever watched a study tips video before, you will hear them say, past papers, past papers, past papers. These past papers allow you to become familiar with how they ask the questions and the type of questions that can be asked. And often you'll find that whoever's setting it gets a bit lazy. At the end of the day, there's only so many ways they can think of asking a question. So you'll usually find that if you've done enough past papers, the questions you see in your test will either be the same or will be very similar to something you've practiced. That way you already know how to answer this question and you've already prepared yourself for the types of things that can come in the exam. This preparation it's the best and it's the most important because what better way to prepare for an exam than to know what's in the exam? And I'm not saying it's going to be exact, but once again, it'll be very similar, hopefully. And even if it isn't, you've practiced how to answer different types of questions, preparing yourself well for the exam. Okay, my fourth point under actually studying is to study in a conducive environment. What I mean by a conducive environment is study in an environment that promotes studying. To me, your bed promotes sleeping. It is where you sleep. It promotes sleeping. It does not promote studying. So my suggestion would be to study in an environment that allows you to focus, an area away from distractions. And if to get away from distractions means leaving your phone in the kitchen, then do it. That's what you need to do. then do it. Getting away from distractions, and specifically your phone, really allows you to focus on the task at hand and get your work done. This way, whatever allocated time you've made in your schedule, you can focus for that amount of time. And then when you're on your break, cool, then you can go check your messages, go on TikTok, do whatever. It's cool. But during that time that you have allocated to study, you need to do all that you can to ensure that you are not distracted, to ensure that for that period of time, you are your best focused self. The last point I have is about the importance of balance. I think balance is probably the most important thing while you're studying. Balance essentially means just because you're writing doesn't mean you have to sit in front of your books the whole day. Just because I sit in front of a book the whole day doesn't mean the information is necessarily going in. I can say, oh, I studied for 7 hours, but was I actually focused for all of those 7 hours? Absolutely no way. You need that balance in your life. So you need to practice allocating time to your studies and time to relax. This balance allows you to prevent becoming overly stressed. Obviously, studying is really overwhelming sometimes. So having this balance, an escape from the studies, allows you to reset. It allows you to relax. It allows you to de-stress. For me, obviously in matric, this was my football training, or it was playing video games, playing some FIFA for an hour or something. It just allows your brain to take time away from school. And this time away from school is so important because school is so stressful. I get it, like school is really, really stressful. So this time away from the books is so important. And when I mean time away from the books, I mean genuinely try your hardest not to think a minute about the books, about the marks, about the tests that are coming. Really take this time to focus on yourself, to focus on your hobby, to focus on something that gives you joy, something that relieves your stress. Lastly is the aftermath. Done the before studying stuff, you've actually studied, and now you've written the test. So what comes after? The thing that you need to keep in mind is that results are not instant. Results are a process, and this process can take a while. So it's really important that you do not become demotivated if the results do not come instantly. This is again where that why factor came in really strong for me, because obviously I didn't see the results instantly. So really, if it doesn't go your way immediately, that does not mean that it will never go your way. Delayed is not denied. So keep pushing even if you don't get those results. If you'd like me to make an example of myself, I tried improving my marks. I would say I began my process halfway through grade 11, and I ended grade 11 with a 73 average. It's not where I wanted to be. It's not where I needed to be in order to be where I am now. But did I give up? Absolutely not. Went into the next year ready to work harder, ready to do better, ready to be better. And then the next thing is, if you do achieve those results, do not get comfortable. I promise you, it's harder to maintain a high result than it is to actually get that result. And this is why your mindset is so important. You always need to have that growth mindset that I mentioned. The mindset to want to be better, the mindset to want to become better. And if you're the best, you're getting 100%, then it's the mindset to want to maintain being the best. As I said, results are harder to maintain than they are to achieve. So do not get comfortable and keep working hard. So that is my academic tips. I really hope that you gained something from this. I know it wasn't necessarily study like this, study like that, study like this, but I really hope that you take the time to think about those 3 questions and break them down for yourselves, because it really helped me, and I do think it can genuinely help you. Once again, I would just like to reiterate that this is what I did, and it helped me improve significantly. However, all of us are different, so I would hope that if you don't feel like this was helpful, then maybe you could take just bits of what I've said and implement it into whatever you're doing. And then the last thing is just remember that anything is possible. If you truly believe that something is possible, then anything is possible and nobody can stop you. If you are watching these study tips, I am assuming you are in school, so I really wish you all the best with your results. To everybody who did reach out to me asking for this help, I really do appreciate you. I'm sorry if I couldn't get back to you, but I really do appreciate you reaching out to me. It does mean a lot, and I really hope that what I've just said now will help you if you implement it. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to hear from some of you with improved results.
It's my intros to Act-Sci test tomorrow. Very serious fixture, which means I will be in the library the whole day.
At what point do you think the library knows my name? Like, I'm literally there all day, every day, bro.
Put the man in ice. A few new things, new chains, new rings. A new wallet cause my other joint was too thin. I'm making profit like a puppet cause I move strings. Now that's a puppeteer. Bro, who fucking cares? Waited for a couple years trying to let my peers flourish. But they ain't hold the flame to nuts and I'm just being honest. New song but they ain't no one that I hear run it. Got them all like Trump covering their ears from it. Young bull with the top of the block with a white front door in the corner subtle. Cool boy always in trouble, why you think his brethren called him Knuckles? 10 years old in beef, dad thinks streets taking over me. Mumsy praying for me, but there ain't enough beads on the rosary. Raised by the wolves from young, but still in the jungle like Mowgli. Always up front when the oldest speaks.
Okay, just finished writing Act-Sci. All I'm gonna say is I can see why you only have to pass.
Full floors on my ting where they live. If a fam never moved out to Harrow, a dad was a pastor, a Marge was Paro. I take a daughter off the calm and narrow. You with the peppercorn, yeah, I know it seems kinda deep, but their thoughts were shallow. Spend my whole life on the market as a target that they point their arrows. Control it, then I pass it to Paolo. Kick a bounce on Albert Road. Coach said come down to Charles, cause I could've got scouted, but I was at home. Or I was outside with the homies, if only I could've advised me now. But even if I